Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Mark Donaldson alongside Janusz Michallik to talk about this and recap the rest of the Premier League results for the 3 p.m. UK kickoff times. Brighton were 2-0 up in this game, Janusz, but in the end, Spurs had chances to win it 3-2. So I suppose when you're 2-0 down, if you're Spurs, you take a point, but for Brighton, that's a sore one, unable to see off a 2-goal lead and manage to get the 3 points.
Yeah, I think if you're Thomas Frank, you conflicted a little bit, right? You like the character of coming back, but when Thomas Frank came in, he gave them, stability, organization, right? But I don't know about you, but I just sort of got a feeling that, the problems from last season reared their ugly head, didn't they? Right? I mean, the first goal, kind of higher line where Udogie breaks the line in terms of offside, keeps them on, and then later low block. Bad clearance from Bergvall, right? And then the shot that I think Vicario should have saved. So you get a little bit of both from a team that has been spectacular, really, right? When you look at them not conceding goals, only, scored 8 before this game, only conceded 1, and had to deal midweek in the Champions League where they won and didn't concede. So, that foundation is being laid down, but that's just it today. It almost seems to me with a big rotation mark from the Champions League, that organization was missing, and that integration of players still, going to take a little bit of time. And you saw that when Chavi Simons came in, changed the game completely, didn't he?
Hugely. He came on after just an hour, I think it was, for Rodrigo Bentancur. But they went Kudus on the right-hand side, Richarlison through the middle, and Audebert down the left-hand side. Before we get into the minutiae of the game, Spurs and their first choice 11, middle to front, there's goals there. What about when you strip it back a little bit, maybe after a Champions League game like you've just spoken about? Is the squad deep enough to do what they want to do this season, whether it's challenge for a European spot or whatever it is?
I think they are. It's just, it depends how long it's going to take because, I mean, they're really deep, and you see that rotation. And it's very good that you've mentioned that because, I think if you look at Spurs, they're getting goals from everywhere, right? If I look at, I look at Bentancur has scored, Palhinha or Papasar has scored, Bergvall has scored, the front three, Richarlison is reborn, right? And in the back, you have 2 center backs that have scored already as well. But again, it's a total mindset, which Thomas Franks is implementing. What I also think that he was very good at Brentford is to make everybody feel important. And I think he's doing that. And okay, on one hand, you can say, well, they just played midweek. He needed to rotate a little bit. But I think he knows that he's coming to the team that, where everybody is going to want to play. And you look how deep they are. Plus, players like Kulusevski and Maddison, they're still to come. So that competition for places for him is very, very important. But I think today he probably wishes that he played Chavi Simons from the beginning. And not only that, Mark, but in a key position, which is in the center of the pitch, not wide left, because that's where he's the best. He's played wide left at Leipzig. It was Louis van Gaal that kind of changed him in the last World Cup from the wide player to central player. I was just commentating the Polish game against Holland. He played right on the right side wide, and he didn't look good as well. So I'm hoping that Thomas Frank keeps what he did today in playing him centrally.
Is it just me, or do other people find Brighton very, very hard to predict? Their only win in the Premier League this season was against Manchester City. They lost to Everton. They drew at home to Fulham, and they lost at Bournemouth. And they're 2-0 up against Spurs, and they were cruising. They were really, really good. They're just, I don't know what it is. You asked me to predict a Brighton game, I'd probably go the opposite to what I think and have more of a chance of being right.
Yeah, they're a little bit happy-go-lucky type. It's almost as if they want to show everybody else how good they are so they can buy their players. I know that's a simplistic way of looking at things, and I'm joking just a little bit, but here's where they are. Because it seems to me, I'm with you on that one, because it seems to me that they've played better than the results show, right? I mean, a win against Manchester City, okay. I mean, Manchester City hasn't been great this season just yet. But yes, and I mean, going forward, you could see this game was wide open, and even though Spurs were chasing the game and ultimately found a way through an own goal, I think the substitutions that Brighton has made a difference as well, and they weren't that far away either. So yeah, an interesting one with Baleba. I don't know, Mark. I think all that talk about
Hmm.
Manchester United has he's paying the price for that, right? Everton halftime, I believe
Yeah.
he was out today as well. I think he was guilty on one of those goals, right, where he was stripped of the ball, and I think their manager has had enough, and obviously he's sending him a message.
When they're good, they're very good. Brighton. They took a 2-goal lead after 31 minutes. But let's take the opening goal, Minta. Not specifically how the goal was scored, but more about him. He's a stereotypical Brighton signing. Not many people have heard of him. He's a Jamestown Analytics, Tony Bloom signing. He's done well at an unfashionable club. He's been brought in. And last season, the talent's always been there, but the injury was there as well. And it's been frustrating. But this is a heck of a talent, this kid, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and they've had, if you look at Mitoma on the other side, another player that's kind of,
Hmm.
every so often we think he's going to be with a bigger club. He continues to say we were able to watch him on the international duty here in the United States, and he was good as well. So I think if you look at Minta and his pace, I mean, on that, with that higher line, you could see, you could really see how explosive he is, and then in terms of composure, how he puts it away. So he is dangerous. I mean, any player with the profile of his, that's kind of always looking to take you on, beat you one-on-one, and he feels confident that he can do that, right? So yeah, I mean, there's just so many good players. It's just, I think at Brighton it's so difficult because you have to rejig, for the lack of a better word,
Hmm.
the system or the players every season, right?
Ayari gets the second. Now, for me, the goalkeeper's at fault here. It's not a good clearance away initially by Berval. Then there's still work to be done. His footwork isn't great. Could you see if this continues? And look, I don't want to be harsh on one player after one perceived mistake, but Kinski, the Czechia goalkeeper, is a very good goalkeeper. He's on the bench. There was some talk during the pre-season that he and Vicario might have a decent battle for the number one choice at Spurs. Vicario's got to do better. Is he by far and away the best goalkeeper at Spurs?
I don't know by far and away, but remember where Kinski came in last season, he almost immediately stepped into, right? There was the issue, there was injuries. He stepped
Yep.
in right away and impressed, but also, a young goalkeeper that's learning the league as well. I mean, he's had some issues as well. I think Vicario, gets the benefit of the doubt, just as I mentioned. I mean, before this game, only one goal conceded. When you talk to the Premier League, and obviously 1-0 win against Villarreal. So I'd be hard pressed to kind of have a go at him right now. Yes, almost immediately I thought he's got to save that. He's better than that, but that happens to all, right? I think the bigger issue was the press of Brighton that kind of created the mistake from Bergval to blindly kind of clear it, and then you saw a quick decision. Perhaps that surprised everybody that from that distance, from that angle, he was having a go there at the far post. But yeah, Vicario's got to do better. But no, he's going to continue to be the number one.
So Spurs get a go back through Richarlison a couple of minutes before the interval. Obviously, still Solanke's out injured. I said I didn't know how to predict Brighton earlier in our chat. Richarlison, I love the fact he's a chaos creator, and you just don't know what you're going to get. I love his passion. Sometimes he goes a little bit too far, but more often than not, he's Johnny on the spot, isn't he? And Brazil have used him in that number 9 position as well. When Solanke's fit and Richarlison's available as well, who would you play?
No, I think right now with the form, I mean, it's Richarlison, right? It's almost like
Yep.
getting a new player, not just because, I mean, so many injuries and really ineffective when he was able to play. So I think for as long as he kind of could, continue to score and play well, he plays there. But that's just the beauty of what's happening right now to Thomas Frank and to Spurs, that all of a sudden, I mean, the last 2 seasons, all I remember was 8, 9, 10, 11 injuries, right? And even when everybody was healthy, the lack of depth was for all of us to see. And here, Odegaard, who's been injured so much, comes in, right? Chavi Simons gives you an option just about everywhere. Kudus, I mean, in that second half, he finally woke up. Kadioglu didn't enjoy that second half. That is for sure, with how explosive he can be. And now you have midfield. Paulinho, obviously, so good for this team. We mentioned Papa Sarr not playing. Bentancur can come in and out. So I just think right now, it's a great start that I don't even think Thomas Frank could have wished for in terms of both competitions for them. It's now just that, how do you ideally, what's your that first starting 11 that you need to know for the biggest games, and then how to keep everybody happy. Many teams are going through it. You and I were just talking about Liverpool, right? Going from 12, 13 deep for the most part now to having spent a lot of money, expectations of playing, almost like Manchester City for all these years, right? We were always wondering, like, how do you keep them all happy? I'm not saying that the Spurs is as deep and as good as Manchester City, but it's much deeper than some people think in terms of talent.
Equalising goals and own goal, John Paul van Hecke near the end. And
Mm.
Spurs did have their chances to win. Up the other end, Brighton had one or two half chances as well. So in the end, it was a really good game to watch. The question I've got for you with regards to Spurs now, after how poor they were in the league last season, obviously the Europa Cup win, the Europa League victory over Manchester United, get them into the Champions League. Should Spurs fans change what they think their team is now capable of this season? They're second right now, obviously, because they played more games than a lot of the teams below them. They've started the season well. As you say, they've got strength and depth. Should they now think, you know what, this is what we thought about our team before the start of the season and our aims? Should we be aiming higher than that? Is top four a possibility for Spurs this season?
I think there is, right. Look, I think the Spurs fans will understand how difficult it has been for many, many years. I think winning this competition is so massive because it's no longer the narrative, isn't it? Right. I mean, at least you can make fun of Spurs and say, they haven't won a trophy in so long. So I think that's important. But the next most important thing is that you have a new manager. You have Daniel Levy's not there, so that's changing as well. You have one of the best stadiums in the world, right? I mean, for sure in the Premier League and in Europe as well. And so how do you continue this project? Because it almost feels like this is just the very beginning of the project, isn't it? Right. So obviously they've spent some money buying quality players, and now I think in order for this project to be at a point where you can say, Spurs are going to contend for the title, is to be constantly in the Premier League, to continue to get that money, to continue to build this team, for it to be possible. So I think they're going to be realistic, but I think the bar's got to be top four. It has to be. Is it possible? Well, it's a great start to the season. Dropping 2 points here, it's not the end of the world. I think the thing is that at least they gained something out of it, Mark. But top four, that's what you shoot for, nothing more.